You're on.
Okay. Monday, April 11th, I'm going to call the Selectmen's meeting to order. The first order of business is to salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public input?
None at this time.
Okay, our first, do the minutes. Review and approval of the minutes. First set of minutes is the regular meeting on Monday, April 4th.
I move to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the non-public for April 4th.
Move to approve as written.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First appointment is Jeff MacGyver, Consolidated Communications.
Great.
Or whoever's here for Consolidated.
Oh, yeah, they're both okay. Here. Would you mind if I came to the table?
Come on up.
Sure.
All right. We'll show and tell to give. Good morning. As I mentioned before, my name is Mary Ellen Plater. My card.
Thank you.
I think you have one, but you might not. And I'm the Vice President for Market Expansion at Consolidated. This is my colleague Jeff MacGyver. And the responsibilities of our team, I have two responsibilities on the team, and Bob was lucky enough to be president of the Carroll County. I think you're the Carroll County Broadband Committee representative.
Planning committee.
Planning Committee representative.
Guide us, both are.
Oh, great,
Yes.
wonderful. So we have been presenting to Carroll County with our intentions about bringing better broadband service to the entire county. And we wanted to just come to you and talk about what we could do for the community. We're very excited. We just announced last week, I don't know if you read the Conway Daily Sun, we were announcing our construction plans in Conway and North Conway last week at their select board meeting. I believe that was Tuesday afternoon.
Yes,
Days are getting mixed up. I spend a lot of time in Carroll County these days. And so I wanted to talk about sort of our process and how we engage with communities. Conway and North Conway were a little bit different. We're doing the entire towns of Conway and North Conway with our own capital. We intend to use some of our other own capital to fill out the rest of the county. The challenge is some of these communities, of which Tufton Borough falls into that category, are super rural. And so what we need is our grant opportunities, of which Tufton Borough is a great candidate for grant opportunities, to fill in some of those gaps that might not be the center of town, but that might be sort of the outskirts of town. So we just wanted to come and talk about sort of what we do, how we do it, and talk about what we could potentially partner to do in 2023. How's that sound?
Good.
And you can feel free to stop me at any point to ask any questions that you might have about our service and about what we do. Great. Okay. All right. Well, we might try to double time this a little bit here. All right. So, I do this every day, so I can really very easily get ahead of myself on what this is and why it's important. So I'm going to start there about what fiber is, why it's important, and what it could mean for the community. So, has anybody ever experienced this little fellow right here on a screen before? So that's I affectionately refer to that as the buffer wheel of death. So that's when you have lots of devices, or sometimes even one device, or you're watching a streaming show, or you're watching a video, or you're in a Zoom conference that we've all been a part of these last 2 years.
The spinny thing.
The spin thing. It's the buffer wheel of death. So what this is saying that your connection is not strong enough to handle whatever you're trying to do with your technology. And technology today is not only about the internet, how many folks have connected refrigerators or vacuums or cell phones that need a wireless connection in your home? So there are lots of ways to have a connected device that might not be through a device like this one. And so what we aim to do is to kill this guy. And how do we do that? So we do that with a technology called fiber. So the way that the internet is served to your house today, there are a couple of different ways that happens. One is a cable solution. I believe y'all are Spectrum country up here.
Yes.
So that's the cable industry, that's coaxial cable. Another is through copper. That's what Consolidated as a phone company has historically done. That's the copper phone lines that you all are used to. But the next generation of that technology is a technology called fiber. Now fiber optic communications is not particularly new, but the ability to stream faster bits and bytes of data across that is something that has taken a big leap forward here in the last, I'd say, probably 5 to 7 years. And what that basically is, fiber is a piece of glass, and the service and the data is transmitted as light over glass. And that light is powered along and along and along and along through something that we call wire centers or home offices or central offices. If you've ever seen a building, they're usually windowless and ugly looking, with the word Consolidated, that's one of our central offices. Jeff, I'm not sure where the central office is around here. I know there's one in Wolfboro.
Yeah.
There's one in Ossipee. There's one in North Conway, I believe, Conway. So they're
We definitely have a few.
There's definitely a few, several. And so that's what sort of powers the network, if you will. And so what's actually happened at Consolidated, about 2 years ago, a private equity fund said, hey, you've got a lot of assets, copper assets on these telephone poles that I'm looking out over this window and seeing, that can be upgraded really easily with that latest and greatest fiber optic communications technology. So we own or have overlash rights to almost 100% of sort of where our network for our copper phone lines exists, all over Carroll County, all over the state of New Hampshire. And so we are running fiber across those lines. It's a really easy, if you've ever seen it, you take a little machine, you attach it on top of your own copper lines that are already there, and it just rolls and it just shoots like a missile down each line to the pole. It's reattached and you do it again, it's reattached and you do it again. And so that's what we're doing. We started this project. It's a 5-year build project. We have an intention to build 1.6 million homes in our 22 state footprint in the next 5 years. Most of those homes are in northern New England. So last year we constructed over 100,000 in the state of New Hampshire, and we plan to do that many or more in this coming year in New Hampshire, across New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. So that's why we're here, to talk about what that would look like. So if you see this map, you might recognize this state. The blue areas are what we've done already. And so the range of those, and I'll talk about how we do each of those builds today. Some of those are in big communities like a Manchester, which is what you see right down here. But some, if you look in this kind of neck of the woods, right in the western southern part, is Cheshire County. Not so dense, super rural. And so those are communities like Troy and Marlow and Unity and Temple, and but anchored over here with some bigger communities like Keene. And so our intention, we've done a lot. There's some holes still that we're trying to fill in down here at the bottom. Now we're moving on up. And so this white space here is Carroll County, and a big emphasis for us this coming year. This blue here is Conway and North Conway, which I talked about. We announced our construction start. We'll start constructing there in June-ish timeframe. We're finishing engineering now. We'll start in June to do that construction. We'll finish that. More than likely, we'll finish all of that construction by the end of this year. And this time of our year is when we start planning for 2023. You have to plan any kind of physical work. If y'all are familiar with that kind of work, has to plan early. And so we're planning for 2023 now, and we want Tushinburg to be a part of that plan. So you also see another little bit of green here if you look really closely. And that's also, I should say, and we'll start to talk about this, that's a federal program called RDOF, which stands for the Rural Development Opportunity Fund, Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. So basically that's an auction that we participate in. It's a federal auction. We don't get to decide where is eligible for that. The government tells us what's eligible. We bid on and have won pieces of RDOF. So those are all those green little spots there. We're committed to do those in 7 years, and we're starting to, there's a little bit here in Carroll. There's some here that's near, that's a little bit near Conway. That's actually somewhat near Ossipee. There's a little bit down here where you all are, and there's a little bit up on the main border near Chatham. So we're going to retire some of that. Probably, if we're building in Carroll, we'll retire all of that RDOF next year. But that's where we get into the subsidy conversation. So here, as I was kind of sharing with you, the way that we connected some of those very small towns, like a Marlow, like a Troy, that are super rural, but they have like a dense core. They have a center of town. We look for subsidy opportunities, and so this is a really historic time in the universe of broadband funding. Because of the pandemic, it's a bit of a silver lining for the pandemic. This has been a problem. This is a not new problem that I'm sure you all have been experiencing for some time. But the pandemic has highlighted that having great internet connections is essential. It's essential to go to school, essential to go to work, essential to run a town. And so there has been a significant amount of federal funding which will be flowing through the state. Also, the state of New Hampshire has done quite a bit itself to say, how can we get every household connected, regardless of whether you live in Manchester or whether you live in Tuftonburg. So that's really important. This is how we work with these towns. So we go to these towns and we say, okay, what is considered underserved or unserved? And I'm sure that with your work with the Broadband Committee, Bob, you've seen that that's a federal standard. That's 25.3 or below, which is 25.3, which is 25 megabits download speed, 3 megabits upload speed. That's what the government dictates as grantable. Now, if you, I'm sure you've heard folks on Carroll County Committee say, that's not enough. We totally agree. What our network can deliver is 1,000 over 1,000. It's quite a bit of difference. It can actually deliver, ultimately, it's something called XGS-PON. That X stands for 10. So basically that means that every household could eventually, there's no hardware that can really, personal residential hardware that can accept the 10 gig solution today, but our network will be capable of that. So that's when we do it one time, and it's a 40, 50 year solution that never has to be constructed again. It's basically, as technology evolves, we change out electronics in that central office that I was mentioning, and then we're good to go. So the infrastructure piece is really putting that fiber on the pole. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions. I'll just press on to how we get this started.
100% coverage.
So let's talk about that. Ideally, yes. So our goal is to work with communities to find all of the addresses that are in their community and figure out how to get them connected. That's our goal. We're not in the business of doing, we've gotten questions before, do you have to be a Consolidated customer? You don't. That's not part of the deal. Basically, we work with this group or a group that you would designate to identify the addresses in town, identify what's grantable. We'll talk about addresses. This is an address business in general, but we want to make sure we get everyone covered. Now, it's pretty difficult to cover folks that aren't on the grid. We encounter some of those in New Hampshire, so I did want to share that because they don't have electricity, and fiber isn't electric. You need electricity to take advantage of the service from a traditional sort of grid standpoint, but that would be the only exception that I would say.
What about the people that don't have, may have poles, but they don't have telephone service?
That's fine. It's not a condition. Having our service from a telephone provider is not a condition. Like, you don't have to be a member of our current set of customers.
But island property?
Island, we've got to figure that out. That's a bit of an engineering problem. We've done a little bit of investigation, Jeff, and since we spoke at Carroll, have we learned anything more about We do islands today. We do islands off the coast of Maine pretty frequently.
That's something that we'll have to go back and really look at from an engineering standpoint. Now, if we have our product out to the island today, we can have that submarine, cables that go out to the island. We just have to look at how we're currently set up for that.
And
Also,
right.
as Mary Ellen pointed out, as far as we're waiting for the state to announce its rules as far as how this grant program will work. Now, what does it mean if the islands are unserved and how that will all look? So, if that's something that we can tie into, the project cost for that, I think that's something else that we can look at as well. So, and we'll get here on this, but the addresses is really going to be the name of the game when we're going after those grant funds. So, again, how it all ties together, that's how we're going to look at it. As we work, and Mary Ellen, when she pointed out the Cheshire County area, so majority of that work is public-private partnerships. We don't want to keep doing this donut scenario where everybody in the middle gets served and everyone on the outside doesn't. We're pushing for that full town build. As you just talked about with the poles, by the residents having poles already in place, that's a huge win in that scenario where at least we're not talking about a resident's home that doesn't have any poles or a way to bring fiber down roads or properties. So again, it's just as we go through the engineering, it's going to look at how we can bring fiber down all the public roads, and then we'll also start to look into the island scenarios as well as some homes as we're engineering it too.
What kind of investment would the town have to make?
Let's talk about that. Hopefully nothing. Our goal, as I was mentioning, this is an unprecedented time in funding for broadband projects in the United States. The state of New Hampshire has earmarked $100 million already in its state funds that have not yet been allocated. We anticipate, I was reading yesterday, that the federal government, as part of the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act, will be allocating $100 million more to the state of New Hampshire. More than likely, it's usually we're anticipating around that number for each state in 2023. It might be more than that. That it will depend on the level of unserved addresses. There are plenty of unserved addresses in the state of New Hampshire. So it's our plan that the town doesn't need to contribute anything. That's 100% the goal. I will say in full transparency, the state of New Hampshire several years ago instituted a law that allowed for communities to bond for broadband. We partnered with a lot of towns, a lot of the southern New Hampshire towns. We partnered with them to do a municipal bond. So basically what that meant, the town took out a bond, we had a consumer fee that then paid down that bond. We're not actually recommending that as a strategy for towns today, just given the amount of funding that's available. So let's talk about what that might mean. So that's how we do it today. We partner with towns, we identify addresses. So we've done a little bit of preliminary work on the city of Tustin Borough. So this is the first part of that address piece that Jeff was mentioning here. So we have a lot of line level records for the community today on what we serve with our copper fin lines. So our records show that we have about 1,700 addresses here in Tustin Borough. From our records, I hate to even say it, we underserved every address with our service here in town today. That's half the equation. Because the way that the state granting rules are allocated it's not just us, it's the spectrums of the world, it's whomever else might have service today based on that 25-3. We know that we underserve the whole town. We match that up with what we perceive as underserved by spectrum. That's what's grantable. The rest, we can more than likely make our own investment in the community to apply for that grant. I believe in feasibility study that was done for Carroll County, there's a pretty hefty percentage of Tufton Borough that shows up in that study. Now that study is incomplete, we have learned. It's a sample size, so not a full line by line by line record of the community. We learned it's a pretty hefty percentage. So all of that percentage, I think it was in the double digits, I want to say around 18 to 20 something percent of Tufton Borough was underserved, could be granted for. We do all the heavy lifting for the community. We apply for that grant. We have, he's not here with us, we have another expansion analyst on our team who's phenomenal. He was on the Zoom call at the last Carroll County broadband meeting. We worked together to do a grant. We applied to the state. We do believe there are lots of federal sources for grants. But we do believe that the state is the best one because they care about New Hampshire.
Did I hear you correctly? Just say that only 18 to 20% would be grantable?
Well, we're not sure. I'm not sure because if we just used our data, we could grant for the whole town.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do sort of, and that this is still evolving. We've done a lot of work even over the last 2 weeks to understand how the state is going to treat addresses. So here's what we've learned. I'll tell you, this is very hot off the press information. The state is planning to create a data set of its own. My guess is that that data set is not going to be ready at the same time that the grant rules are available. There are some scenarios where a community could issue what's called an RFI, a request for information, from the providers that serve the community, receive that information back. That's what becomes sort of the gold standard for addresses of what's grantable, not grantable. We can already tell you, we can pull it and send it to you today, how many are not considered served by state standards from Consolidated. We do have to have and do have at least a good faith effort to know what's served or not served by Spectrum, and then that's what's grantable. I'm just parroting back what the feasibility study gave. Again, we have learned not perfect information, but ostensibly it would be between that number and 100%. Does that make sense? Between the number and the feasibility study?
Let's say that
100%.
50% is grantable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna provide 50% of your capitalization. What are you giving us?
That's when we would come in with our own capital. And so if it's
Well,
not,
you're getting 50% of the cost covered.
right.
What are you giving the town for that 50%?
So we,
I mean, are we gonna have controllability over the rates?
so we would not do that. So we would be building 50% with our capital. The total cost, I don't remember for Tufton Borough. We're talking in the millions of dollars. So we would cover whatever the non-grantable percentage of that. We would also cover every connection.
I'm just wondering
Sure.
I look at a deal.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're making a deal.
Sure.
I'm gonna pay for half of it, you're gonna pay for half
The
of it.
state's gonna pay for half of it, right? Yeah.
You don't have the ability to get that state money without us.
That's true. That's
Right?
true.
You need the community to do that.
Right.
So now we've covered half your cost, what's
Right.
in it for us?
It's really improved service for your residents.
Right, but we're gonna get that whoever we team up with. So
Right.
is there a cap on your rates?
So let's talk about what customers get. So Consolidated just launched a new brand based on its fiber product called Fidium. Fidium Fiber is, we're still Consolidated Communications, which basically means that's the Ford Motor Company. Fidium Fiber is the Mustang. It's the top, it's our flagship brand for fiber. These are the rates that you'll see here. For 1 gig, that's our top product. That's 1,000 over 1,000. That's $70 a month in the first year. It's $95 in the out years. We tell you right up front exactly what we'll charge you. We've learned a lot with this new brand, the things that folks don't like about their cable company. And it's that rates increase and they don't tell you that they're going to increase.
Well, are you covered by are you considered a cable company for regulations?
We're not. We're a telephone company.
So you're covered by the telephone regulations?
So this is an ISP, so an internet service provider. So we're governed by the marketplace. And so, for example, but one thing we do commit statewide is that we don't have different prices for a Manchester or a Tufton Borough. We have the same price across the state, If an urban price goes lower than these numbers that you're seeing on the screen, every price in the state goes to that level. If that makes sense. So that
It's
is our
not-
commitment.
But
Sure,
with the cable companies, it's non-negotiable.
right.
Is it negotiable?
It's not.
Okay.
It's
So
not.
how does the rate go down?
The rate does not go down.
We just said it would. If one rate went down, then everybody's rate goes down.
Right, if in Manchester, let's say we
Right.
got in a competitive fight, the market moves the rate. We're not gonna go up, right? Like, because in Manchester, we couldn't compete, as an example, with a Comcast in Manchester.
So there are multiple providers in Manchester, is that what you're saying?
There's just more people, more,
I know there's more people,
and more
but who are you
presence.
competing with in Manchester?
Comcast.
So there are multiple ISP providers or? Okay.
There's Comcast and us, and I'm not sure if there's another, I don't know. I think Comcast has a monopoly there.
Yeah, that's basically.
But they're a big national firm with a lot more ability to, we're a lot smaller than Comcast is.
So I'm gonna have to return to my original question.
Sure.
What's in it for us? So we would want guarantees of a date certain that everyone in Tuftonboro is connected.
Sure. Yeah,
Not 5 years out or 10 years out.
that's right.
So when you set up to do business,
How long does it take?
how long is it gonna take to hook everybody up?
So typically, if I'll go back, towns of this size, we've done it mostly around 4 months. It's usually about 4 to 6 months. Sometimes it depends on when we start. The winter and mud season can get in our way sometimes. Ideally, we would start this project, assuming grant funds were received, we would start at the first quarter of next year and would have things completed by the summertime of next year would be the goal. We've been running actually faster than normal in all of our communities so far, so we're closer to the 3-4 months end of that spectrum once we start the work.
So we just completed in October until March timeframe, we built 13 towns in that southwestern corner of the state with with our crews and multiple contracted crews in that, anywhere between that 4 to 6 month time.
So is there a rental fee for the town? I mean, do you give the town any money?
We don't have a franchise fee since we don't have video service. We don't provide video service. We recommend a lot of streaming partners. We have streaming partners that are on our website, AT&T, Fubo, Philo, and soon to be YouTube TV. So we don't provide, that's, a cable company has a franchise fee because they're serving linear television. We don't have a franchise fee.
Okay.
And one thing that we do for the town is for all town buildings, whether it's your this building, your waste management facility, your water, highway, we provide one line of free service, install and free service of that gigabit speed, just as part of this partnership. And that's something that we.
So a gigabit is the basic service, is that?
Gigabit is the top line service.
Okay, what's the basic service?
The basic service is 50 meg down, 50 meg up. It's $35 a month.
First year.
For the first year, and it is, I think it's
Up to 55.
It's 55 in the out years. We also have our participants in the American Connectivity Program. It's called the ACP. It's a subsidized program for folks who have free and reduced lunch. That's typically the line. That's not 100% guaranteed. That's a $30 subsidy. So with that applied, the government reimburses us. They don't reimburse the individual.
And does that go just through you, or do they have to come through here for our?
No, that comes, anyone who qualifies, that's on an individual basis. That's not, they don't have to come through any sort of city or municipal checkpoints. They're just their own. That brings our sort of basic service to $5 a month, just as a perspective. And so that's what the price tiers are.
And is it, you had telephone service going to these little towns that you did in Cheshire. Did your municipal tax rate change when you put in cable? Or fiber optic.
No.
So you're just considering that a replacement or an addition to your copper line?
That's right.
basically. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
All right. And we're not, you're not getting sued by anybody, or you're not suing anybody over your tax rate?
No.
And we've gone through that
No.
with, it seems like everyone. Is there, I know that there's been legislation to prevent cable companies from not allowing you to put your lines on poles.
We're already there.
Yeah.
They can't do anything about that. We're already there. We just overlash, it's literally the cable, our copper cable. We don't take it down. We just wrap fiber all the way around it, all the way around. So we don't have attachment fees or pole right issues or disputes that happen. We're already there to do the work.
Okay.
And ostensibly, we will do, we haven't done our engineering for the rest of the year, for the rest of 2023. But our goal here is there's a strong likelihood we will do a portion of Tufton Borough. We just want to do the whole thing because we don't want to let half the town have a great service and the outliers not. And that's our goal, because that's what would have happened, assumedly in southern New Hampshire. We have towns with, the center of town has great service and the outliers don't. And that's why, and that's literally why we're here.
Whoever we make a deal with is gonna hook up everybody. And we've already, sent a letter off to the co-op to start discussions
Okay.
there.
Yep.
You've come in,
Well,
but
the
that's.
co-op, I'll
that-
say, is only committed to do its own members. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
we're
thinking about.
We're 85% co-op, and my understanding from them is that we can come to an agreement for everybody. So the other
With a grant.
50%.
Everybody's with a grant. Like,
So-
everybody's gonna come to you with a grant request, and it's not, and the work of the town to apply for a grant, in our reading of at least the draft rules, is very low. And that, so let's talk about, we're certainly happy to talk about the co-op. I will tell you, and I can show here with the price differences, they're going to be more expensive for your residents because they're smaller. That's something that you all would have to, make that decision for, what the speed tier offerings are and the price differentials are. It's more expensive and will not have the competitive pressures to bring the price down
Well,
that we'll have.
I understand that position.
Sure.
The ultimate position is that we've historically been very poorly served by cable, which is a commercial entity,
Understand.
with no negotiation on pricing
Yep.
and no ability to be at the table. At least with the co-op, it's
Understand.
not-for-profit, board elected by
Yep.
local representatives. So we've
Understand.
got a little bit more input there.
Sure.
I haven't gotten, and not to say that the
Sure.
deal's made, I'm
Yeah, I
just
understand.
giving you the conditions we're looking at.
For sure.
And I look at, historically, your industry has not been very
You're right.
accommodating, so.
You're right. And I'm not, and we are a for-profit company. I'm not going to tell you that we're going to have different prices for different towns. That's just not something we're going to do. And I wouldn't tell you that we would. I wouldn't tell you that there's a hope for that in the upfront. We're going to be very transparent with you with what we can and cannot do. We're going to be very transparent with you with what our price is today and what it's going to be every year after that. For any consumer who signs up with us, at any point of their time, there's not a contract, there's not an installation fee, there's not the worry of a network going down, there's not a worry of maintenance or oversight. I mean, these are things that, I would, in full transparency, with any partner that you're going to work with, that I would encourage you to think about as you go in.
And I think for our purposes, when we get to that point, and we're gonna have to get to that point pretty quickly,
Right.
we're gonna have to look at the contract. You're saying this is the price for a year and this is the price forevermore.
Mhm.
Consolidated could very well sell out to some other company and then forevermore disappears. So we need to have some sort of assurances, I think, going forward, that there's some sort of matrix, I guess, between the cost of your service and the general inflation rate, or whatever you want, cost of living increases, or whatever that might be. I mean, I have, for just argument's sake, direct TV at my house.
Mhm.
Well, as soon as they sold out to AT&T, my bill doubled.
Sure.
You know, and there's
I
really
understand.
nothing I can do about it other than take the satellite off the roof.
That's true.
So I think we'd like to look at whatever contractual obligations you're gonna make and.
So ideally we're not talking about a contract. Ideally, that's not sort of what we're discussing. This is really about because we could serve you right now. We could serve, and we will serve, that's what we're here to say. We will serve a portion of all of Carroll County, all of the communities in Carroll County with some of our service. The goal here is just that we are able to do all of it, and that's a grant. That's the only sort of interaction with the community
Right,
is
so
with
let's
this grant.
not forget that
Right.
we're gonna provide half of your capital, let's say, theoretically.
Okay.
So from that standpoint, it is a contractual agreement. You know, we are going to provide you with capitalization. You're gonna provide us with some sort of assurances. That's all I'm saying. You know, maybe you can wire the whole town without us saying anything about it.
Right.
Maybe you can't.
Right.
That's your decision to
That's
make.
right.
But the minute you start taking public money for that,
Mhm.
then, you know, you can get to the table. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. What kind of I can't assure you anything on price. Like,
No.
I wouldn't pretend to share that, to be able to do that. What I can talk about is a construction cost that is completed for the rest of the residents. I don't know how many would be possible to be completed there. I can tell you that we would be investing a significant portion of our capital to connect those that did not qualify for that grant subsidy. So if you talk about, the completion of an entire community with great service at fixed rates, lower rates than what the co-op would offer you, that's what I can offer you, is that kind of agreement. In terms of an agreement, we're really talking about a period of time for those granting funds, and that's, as Jeff was mentioning, the connection of public buildings at our cost and our contribution, as well as all of the connections. So what we would do is the network is built on the roadways with telephone poles. We would also be covering sort of our drops and installation costs are not something that we charge residents for as well. So there are the places where fees typically add up in an installation process for the end customer would not be there. I know that there are installation fees with some of the other folks who are looking to bring service like the co-op. There are installation fees, there are connection fees. So I would encourage you to look at what all those fees would be. We haven't seen what the grant rules are yet. They have not been issued by the state of New Hampshire. We keep hearing a month. I heard a month several months ago, right? So we anticipate that those would be happening soon. And it's just a matter of, do we want to work together to do that grant? What we have heard, that potentially you could work with two providers to have a grant as something. And the state decides. The state will not subsidize two folks. That we know for sure. So it would really be about you all doing whatever diligence you need to do, and we're happy to answer. We've answered lots of questions from lots of communities about sort of our service, about our rates, about the stability of the network, the stability of our crews to get things done in a particular time. That's another thing that we are really proud of. All of our crews are right here. They exist today. We're a pretty big union shop. As well, we have fiber in the warehouse, so we don't have the supply issues that smaller providers might service, which would delay a project. We see that industry-wide as delays. We're not big like Comcast, but we're not small enough that we can't demand sort of production lines from some of the major fiber providers like Corning and some of the major consumer connection equipments or modems and routers from some of the top providers that do that. So we have those dedicated lines. That's something that delays projects. That wouldn't be a case here. So that 4 to 6 months has been
I guess back to Bobby's comment about islands, the information I had was that everybody who's a resident gets hooked up. And we have 2 permanent residents on islands. So
Mhm.
it's not as if we can avoid that
Sure.
dilemma. I think we can avoid the summer residents that are out on the islands if we need to, but the permanent residents, there's no way around it unless they
Sure.
decide they're gonna claim Arizona, which is where they really live,
Right.
as their
Yeah,
residency.
sure.
So
So we
that,
find a way. I don't know the engineering quite well enough. Like if they have copper phone service out there, that makes it a lot easier because then we have some
Yeah,
existing
I
I
infrastructure.
think they're all covered with phone service,
Yeah.
electricity and phone.
yeah, there's electricity and phone out there, most of them.
So if we have that infrastructure, the more than likelihood is we have a connection to the island, which makes it so much easiasier.
You know, how that, whether it's just a cable laying on the
Mhm.
bottom of the lake or if it's on a conduit.
That
or-
typically is
Yeah.
how it works. We have underwater cables. We do it in Maine all the time because they have a bunch of islands, as you know. Sorry, on the
They
coast.
have towns on their islands.
They do have towns on their islands.
Cool.
I have been to them several times.
Yeah, we just completed a public-private partnership, brought fiber to one of the towns off of Portland.
Yep.
So
On island.
we strung fiber to everyone out there.
So you-
And I was just gonna add, you know, again, another commitment, and we covered this earlier, is those dates, the construction dates. So once those grant rules and, you know, that would be all part of our plan that we would present you with, once we have an understanding of when grant, the funds would be available, and we'd commit to construction dates, beginning and end dates.
I mean, I know we've talked about getting it done. I don't think we've ever talked about, you know, we need it done in August. You know, we're more than willing to wait in a queue if we have to, but we want to make sure that when it is done, that it isn't you stop in and do the easy ones for once and then show up 9 months
That's
later
right.
to do some other ones.
That's not how we do it, which is, you know, because we're starting work in the county now, which will take us, because Conway, North Conway are much bigger, it's actually the next part of the county, so we want to just keep going. It makes more efficient build and design, it makes more and more efficient sort of our workforce staying in the same place and just kind of.
Are you doing 100% of
Yes.
the homes in Conway?
Yes. Conway, Albany, Easton, and North Conway are all 100% covered in this bill. in this bill.
Albany?
Albany, yep.
Really?
Yep.
So much for the, is he still on that board at the?
Rick?
Selectmen?
Rick, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Very much so. Yeah, so and that's so we operate, it's not a very useful term, it's called a wire center, the 10 offices that I was talking about. It's our goal to do 100% of those. And I'll be honest, I started with the company about a year ago. I came from Google before. I was there for a long time. I think I'm part of this change in how we're doing business. I like to think that. The company would do portions of towns in the past, even some of the bigger towns. And so now a lot of my project is how do we fill in those gaps? Because that's not a thing that we're doing anymore. If we can at all help it to have incomplete.
How is your work in Conway being funded?
We're doing 100% of it ourselves with our own capital. It's $11 million for 11,000 households.
There's a lot more profit potential in Conway than there
It's
is
just,
here.
it's just denser.
Yeah.
It's just that, like the winning combination is density. It's really a density game there, and we can do more from a build construction standpoint as well as a scale standpoint.
Are you going to have the ability to recoup some of your investment from the grants?
What do you mean?
You're investing you're investing in Conway. You're paying for it.
Mhm.
Are you going to have the ability to recoup some of your investment from these grants?
No, not good. We're not applying for a grant. They're 100% sewer, so we're not applying for
Cooper
grants.
does great.
Not like we're not. So like I know that's. Listen, I know how this industry has been and is when it comes to rate hikes and changes and broken promises along. Like trust me, I got into this business to to not do that. And I came here with the stipulation that we were not in the rate game. We're not even in the promotions game.
Getting our plan.
Please continue, but I didn't bring a clothespin. I'll be right back.
We did not get in for a promotions game, which a lot of companies do. So they'll say, they train you to call in and yell and get the promotion rate. Again, I'm sure you've done that. If you have Time Warner, if you have a traditional cable provider, you've done that. We're not doing that. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to charge you in the first year. I'm going to tell you what I'm charging you in the second year. I'm not going to do anything about it heretofore, which is why the rate does go up in the second year, because the maintenance of the network. I mean, it's not a cheap business to be in, for sure. But we're not going to get into that business of just a bad experience.
So is your expectation that this is going to replace your phone line from the service point of view, from the consumer's point of view?
100%. We also offer phone service, so it's a voice over IP service, which is fiber-based phone. So ostensibly that would replace copper. Copper needs to be replaced. The best way that we can improve service is to get rid of copper service. That's the best way to do it, is to not have it anymore. And cable as well, if you think about just from a technology standpoint, cable will be fine for a little while until it's not, until technology just surpasses the ability for cable. Cable has great downloads, terrible upload speeds because just the technology does not allow for symmetric upload speeds. So it'll be fine for a little while, and they'll charge you to death for a while until it's not. And that's probably a 5 to 10 year proposition for it to be good enough until technology devices just sort of overtake it. What other questions can we answer for you? I can tell you what our next steps are for the community, if that's helpful as well.
Sure.
So the real next step, you've got a lot to think about as well. It's about addresses. So we are in the process of determining using whatever public data source we have. So there are a couple that exist. The feasibility study, again, not complete data, not line level data, which is what unfortunately I thought it was, what the feasibility study was. It's not. It's just a statistical extraction from the survey that was done. There's also a national data set, which actually, unfortunately, shows you all as 100% served, which I know I'm pretty confident is not true. And then there's the potential to do that work yourself. So some of the communities that we're working with, if we determine that percentage from the feasibility study that it gave, it only gave a percentage, isn't what residents experience, if they look at that and they say, gosh, this is really not what we think it should be, is we'll recommend, what we're recommending to communities now is something called an RFI, request for information, where you go out to the 2 providers, only 2 here, it's Consolidated and Spectrum, and you say, give us your data, show us what your records say. We always give line level data. We respond to those all the time. We always give line level data. Our friends at cable often don't give line level data. Sometimes they
Well,
give.
we did an RFI for cable.
You did? Okay.
Well, I say that.
Okay.
Not certain that we got
Crayon drawings.
the information that we really needed.
They do crayon drawings a lot, where they just put and they say.
Yeah, and they knew what our issue was.
Sure.
Was their notion of us within a 1 mile radius or a 2 mile radius, whatever the radius was. It was in Kansas, so our roads run in
Sure.
various directions all the
Sure.
time. So at any rate, that was where we were going with it, was trying to get some service to people who weren't served, but
Right.
seemed to be within some 1 mile radius.
Right.
But we'll try again.
That's possible. What we are currently investigating with the state is if that is the mechanism that they're going to use to assess what is grantable. And that's still a bit, I saw in with their office last week, that's still kind of in flux. I don't want to make you do work you shouldn't have to do. Because it's a small community, it's you all that are serving me, I don't want to do extra work. There is a thought that, from our perspective, we underserve this community at 100%. Right, so then we would, it would be potential for all of it to be granted for. I know that that's not actually true, because everybody has the spectrum option here, so we couldn't in good faith go forward with that. We could go forward with the motion.
Well, I think if you use your 50 megabyte number, we are 100% underserved.
The underserved number is 25.3. I don't set that standard, the Fed set that standard. I wish it should be 100, to be honest. And a lot of states are even implementing that. State of Vermont has issued that as their underserved. For all of they have a different structure than the state of New Hampshire. They have a CUD structure, which is what I know the Falcon group is trying to get to. And so they peg theirs at 100. Don't have that option in New Hampshire. It's 25.3. Not great, but it allows room for cable, which is the missing piece in Carroll, is sort of that what's underserved. What else can I answer for you? Or what would you like to hear? What would you like?
So you're
what
done
would you
in
like
Temple or Unity, one of those two communities?
Both.
Okay, so I can call the selectmen there and
We can send you a list of our the leads that we worked with in all of these communities. I'm sure they'd be happy to chat with you.
That'd be great.
If that would be a good follow-up, we're happy to do that. So we just
We
went.
invented the wheel here a couple of times and it didn't work out too
Sure.
well for us.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we're more than happy to do, to send really a list of anyone that you'd like to talk to, and we'll let them know that you're calling, so that they pick up that phone. We do it all the time. Like we're making the rounds here. We were here last week. We're doing this again. And we just want to tell you what we're doing and how we can connect everyone if there are gaps.
And are you making a deal with the schools or is that, it just is a hookup?
The school is a bit of a different situation. The schools, typically, most schools, because of a program many years ago called E-Rate, are typically connected, some of the best connections. Those are commercial connections. So we have the other half of Consolidated's company, which is still uses the Consolidated brand as a commercial service. So they connect schools, they connect hospitals, they connect cell towers. We do a lot of cell tower backhaul work there.
These are like T1 connections?
Exactly.
So the school up here probably has a T1?
Probably does. If it doesn't, that's something that that we can certainly talk about. But most schools were connected under that act, which was many years ago.
How does it all work when we don't own the school?
Well, we may not own it, Guy, but we have our children going there, so.
I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah.
We have very little say about what happens at the school.
It's probably connected. If it's not, just let us know. But more than likely, it has a connection. It's a T1. Most schools have that level of connection.
Good.
Anything else that we can answer for you?
I think we're good. If we can get that list of communities and maybe.
We can send you this document.
Yeah, a copy of that
We can send you
PowerPoint would be great.
I don't think I have everyone's.
You have the selectmen's email address, and
Right.
from there we'll get
I see
it.
I see the person with the
Yeah.
with the knowledge. Great. I get it.
Yeah, she handles all of this stuff.
Okay. Super.
She just makes us look good. That's her job.
Good. That's
The
great.
only thing I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
great. Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. Like, we're going to tell you the story. I'm not going to tell you something I can't give you, because I can't. But we'd love to work with you. That's what I always do. And we'll get all this follow-ups right over to you.
Well, I think we can say with confidence we're going to make some kind of decision
That's
in
great.
the next couple of months. I'd like to see
Of course.
the grant regulations.
We would too.
rules.
We-
Do you have any sense of when the rules are coming out?
I've been hearing a month for a very long time.
I heard April 1st for a long time, and then April 1st
Came and went. I will say that an encouraging piece has happened 2 weeks ago. A big portion that we were waiting for in the current set of, they're not really rules, but in the current law that's about to be changed, it was a 50-50 match. So 50% from the state, 50% from either a community or provider, which is typically from a provider. The new provisions are suggesting it's 75-25. That has passed the state House of Representatives.
Which way?
It's positively passed. And so it's
So
moved on to
25%.
From the state and 75 from the provider?
the other way around. 75% from the state, 25% from the provider. So that just allows providers to do a lot more and to make sure that no one is missed. Because some, like, I will tell you our economics, they're pretty public. Our general economics for a household pass is about $550 a home. Some homes and communities, a whole community can really be, the price can really go up with just a handful of homes. So like, there's some homes that'll be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $10,000 a passing home because they're very remote. They have long stretches of cable that have to go out. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want to leave, our goal is universal service. So we don't want to leave anybody out. And that's why we need those a little bit of funds to make sure we don't leave anyone out. That's our goal.
Right. And as I told our cable provider some years ago, every connection adds to your bottom line. So
That's true.
it's not a bad thing to have a lot of connections because it's
That's
going
true.
to increase your stock value.
Sort
So
of. I mean, they
everybody-
have to sign up for service. They don't. We you know, like we're
They're
gonna
gonna
we're
sign
gonna
up.
connection. Well, that's good. They don't always.
If you're the only
They don't
provider
always.
of
That's fair.
fiber optic,
That's
they're
fair.
going to sign up.
That's a fair
And I
point.
think, as you say, if it becomes a replacement for cable ultimately.
That's the goal.
And that
I mean,
saves people money,
Yeah.
hopefully.
hopefully, and that's and that's what we look to do as well. Is and sort of something I'll leave you with is the infrastructure piece is one piece of the doing of the infrastructure is one piece of the equation. What you don't want to do is create something that's called the digital divide. The infrastructure solves a portion of that, but the cost has to be affordable
Right.
for everybody at the end of the line. And if it's not, then you've just created another problem. So what? You have great connections, great infrastructure. If you can't, if folks can't actually use the service or be, being a part of the affordable care program, the American Connectivity Program, that $30 subsidy brings that low price to $5. Like that's really phenomenal for families that need a basic service. And 50/50 is 50 up, 50 down is a great service. That's important. So something to think about, like as you're making these choices, is what the end customer pays and doing that math and what they're going to pay. That's what I'll leave you with. That's important. It's important to me. I'm obviously not from around here.
Delaware, Maryland, Tidewater, Urban, North Carolina, Texas, or Missouri, which one?
South Carolina.
No, Lord have mercy.
Yes, that's pretty good.
I have friends in Liberty, South Carolina.
No way.
Yes,
I know exactly where that is.
of course you do. Not far from Spartanburg.
That's right. I know it quite well. Yes, I'm from a small town. I'm from a small town just like this, so it's really important to me that it's fair.
I got thrown out of Charleston, South Carolina one time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'd say,
I've considered having me thrown out of Tuftonboro, but I can't.
The Coast Guard is there. They have a base there. Great. Well, thanks,
All
gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank
Really
you.
glad
Thank
that you're-
Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely appreciate it. Thank you. Good to meet you too. Good to meet
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Thanks.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
And we will be in touch.
Yeah, Dan's
We didn't
waiting.
highway today?
He had to leave.
You had to leave?
Yeah, we weren't on track today. He had
Thank you
an
very
appointment in
much.
Plymouth. And I'm gonna see if it's okay if Dennis goes next, if Jack can wait 5 more minutes.
We'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Chief's over here. too.
You're on. Chief's not on my schedule.
No, but he wouldn't come in if it wasn't.
You are? You are on my schedule?
Maybe.
Okay.
Dennis, Parks and Rec.
How's it going? I missed a couple of meetings through vacation, and
Yeah.
welcome Bob, first time.
Hi.
We want to talk about it.
Parks and Rec.
You're supposed to tell us.
I got nothing.
What's in the bag, buddy?
It's really not any business.
Good enough.
This is for you.
Nice talking
Thank
to
you.
you, Dan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is just the stuff I'm gonna go over, if you don't mind.
See, you came with things to talk about.
So if you don't mind, I have a guest I'd like to bring in for a couple minutes, just to meet you guys. and,
Want me to go grab him?
well, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be good.
You won't be in there only here, and I won't be here. Oh.
That's just a copy of some of the flies and stuff. we
Bring the
don't-
Easter Bunny, did you?
No.
Are you the Easter Bunny?
What?
Are you gonna be the Easter Bunny this year?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to be this. I'm going to run the event. I'll talk about that in a minute. For the purpose of a photo, to help promote our event, maybe we could get a photo with you guys here too.
Oh, yeah, with the ears.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I like where my
Chief,
old.
wanna get in the photo?
Hey, come on, Chief, put your ears on, buddy.
So anyway, program for the Easter Bunny.
Oh Lord, there he comes
Is it
now.
coming in? Look at this.
Watch your step
I
right
thought I was gonna use one.
this
a blind
way.
You know, next to Santa, this is probably the most
Yeah,
noticeable mascot
There.
in the world.
you can sit right next to
Right here.
Dennis.
Mrs.
You
Easter.
see where you're going?
Bunnies don't have great vision, right? Or do they?
I don't know.
I'm sitting
lots
on
of
my
carrots.
tail.
They say even a blind pig can find a truffle, so I don't know.
So the weather looks good for Saturday. Maybe rain in the afternoon, but we're gonna have that at Central Park. We got 3 age groups, 5 and under, 6 to 8, and then 9 and over. We got about 1,300 eggs. We got some other programs planned. Photo with the Easter Bunny. Every kid will get some ears, get some snacks. The search for the golden egg gets them a better prize. Then we got the bunny hop race, the egg toss, pass the bunny, which is a version of musical chairs, only you're passing the bunny around. So hopefully, I had to negotiate. She's up to, well, I think 3 dozen carrots now. That's going to be her pay.
So
And then I'm gonna be able to see
We're gonna
that.
call her down, she's gonna come down from the woods, so. She's actually not the Easter Bunny, I got, Kevin Van Dunn's son, he did it my first year here, 3 years ago, as the Easter Bunny, and he did a great job, but, so that's gonna be a good program,
What
hopefully we
what
got.
are the times on that?
Yeah, registration's 12:30, and then we start at 1 o'clock. And we're doing the fire station, next to the fire station for obvious reasons. We don't have to pay a janitor at the school, and, just to use that facility, I think. The fire department's been great. We're gonna be using cones to cone off a boundary area. So it should be a good event. I wanna thank a member of our commission, Joyce Lake. She is our Easter Bunny today, and she's just got back from Arizona, so I ran into her downtown this weekend, and my girls here really didn't come through being Easter Bunny, so I roped Joyce into it. So if we can get a picture now, it'd be good with the Easter Bunny. If you don't mind, maybe right here with your ears. No, the all ears. I gotta promote on you guys.
All of that?
Oh, you wanna go up behind there?
Wherever you want, wherever you think is,
You have to.
Took them off.
Why not, huh? I've never done this in my life, guys.
neither have I, so this is the first.
And my husband said, are you sure you're gonna do this? I
Do you
said,
wanna
"It's
take
my
it?"
break."
Sure. I know how to take it.
Oh, I
I'm
can
right here.
barely see.
You wanna go join them? Since you're the parking rec
Where
guy?
are we? Here. Are we
I'll go
close?
next to the big center here,
Okay.
guy. I'm a little god.
You got us
Alright.
all?
Got you all.
Yay.
Nice.
All right,
Sure, Bob Cousy wasn't very tall.
No, I know that.
As easy as that.
Easter Bunny, I want to thank you, and I'll be in touch with you. Thank you for coming down here today.
I'm a Mrs. Easter Bunny. I often wondered why bunnies have eggs, because I grew up on a farm and they have bunnies.
They don't lay eggs.
Chickens lay eggs,
And a goose would lay a golden egg.
and we have golden eggs.
We do, yes. Joyce is the newest member of our commission, and she's been a
Yeah,
great
she
help.
definitely from Arizona too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabbits lay eggs up here.
Her husband writes the article once a week in the Granite State. What's it called?
Out of Cabin Chronicles.
Cabin Chronicles.
Oh, yes, Joyce, and that's for your husband.
Oh, okay, great. And he's a biker.
Yeah, that's why I wrote that down.
Oh.
Check that out on the internet.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Jim.
Joyce.
Okay.
You're
great.
welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's continue. Go through this. Actually, the date on the website is wrong. Our next commission meeting is the 19th at 6 o'clock, a Tuesday.
It's not tomorrow night?
No, it's on the website, that's wrong.
Who's on that with you?
Me, yeah.
Yeah, Bob was at our first meeting last month. Did a
Yep.
good job.
I didn't do much.
Well, no, we had,
Thank you for
we
that.
finally had a quorum, and now that we got Joyce back, we're in good shape. This Thursday is the last, we've been doing a gym program on Thursday nights up at the the central school. We started with dodgeball, got into regular basketball, and then my issue with the younger kids and the height of the basket, we got a mini hoop, we bring the hoops down to 7 feet, and we've been playing that. But last week was awesome because we played mini hoop basketball. We had about 25 kids, and we divide them up. And then, of course, they want to end with dodgeball, and then the final dodgeball game is parents against kids, so they go kind of crazy with that. Yeah,
I can only
and
imagine.
the parents like it too, so.
Yeah.
This is our last Thursday there, then they go into April vacation, so we're done. The paint class, the last one we had, I told Bob at the last meeting, we sold out, we had 23 people signed up at the townhouse, and we can't fit any more than that, so we get another class April 20th. We do have a meeting coming, I don't have the date with me, it's in May, the middle of May. I'll send you a letter on it. But the idea of getting the community back involved with Old Home Days, the last 2 years has kind of been, with COVID and everything, and a little sketchy, and pretty much just fell on me, and we did the best we could, but we really want to get the community back involved, and we do have letters going out. Jackie's given me the names of all the other people, and we just, welcome their attendance, their volunteerism, and then certainly their ideas. So hopefully that'll bring that back to where it should be. The concerts.
Just quickly, what did you say the next meeting was, the 18th?
19.
19th, 6 o'clock, yeah.
Thank you. Concerts.
Yeah. The concerts, again, all the contracts from the 8 groups are back. We have increased from 6 to 8. We sent letters out to the sponsors. So far, I got $1,500 back. We need a lot more. It's going to be around $4 grand with the increase in some of the bands, and then of course we got to pay for the police detail. I'm still looking for a vendor. The PTO kind of backed out. I'm waiting to hear from the pizza guy. If not, then we'll just do it ourselves. And the other idea, what we want to do, and I don't know what you think of it, but we'd like to have an honorary conductor at each concert, and let the community kind of vote, but just honor 8 different people for the work they've done in Tuftonboro, and just to kind of highlight their what they've done. So we're going to get into that. Swim lessons. We'll highlight him. You want him to be one? What do you set your vote? I mean,
It's like a conductor.
It's like my buddy, he coached at WPI. He was recruiting a guy in Pennsylvania, and he was at the dinner table. He goes, "So why do you want to go to WPI?" He says, "I want to be an engineer." He says, "Why do you want to be an engineer?" He says, "I like trains." That was a joke, by the way. And that was true. Swim lessons. Hannah is back, thank God. She had about 29 kids last summer, but if you see that fees of lifeguards are going up, the need of lifeguards is certainly throughout the state, and they're hard to come by, but it's really hard to get them certified. But we're lucky to have Hannah, so we're happy with that. The information on that will be going
And
out.
do we still have that as a line item? I
Yeah.
thought we eliminated
Yes, we
that.
do.
Should know where everything is right now.
You got any Parks and Rec?
So swim, water safety instructors we still
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Lifeguards,
No, I'm good.
no, we only have $500 on that line too. Oh, that's equipment, that's right. So no lifeguards.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, spring cornhole, we're starting up on Tuesday, May 10th. We started a new program, I don't know if you noticed, up at Davis Field. We put up a volleyball, a beautiful, it's about $2,500. The school paid for it, and we installed it. But we're gonna have open volleyball there on Wednesday nights, 5:30 to 7, starting June 1st. The Paws in the Park Dog Festival is Saturday, June 25th at Davis Field, 10 to 3. We sent out roughly 140 letters to dog-type vendors to really get that going. But we need vendors and we need people to show up for that. And it could potentially be a real good program. First year might be small, but I think it will grow. I read one in Mass, it started out small and now they have over 100 vendors and they're making $35,000. So this is a dog area and hopefully they support it. Babe Ruth program is going to be using Davis Field. I do have their certificate of insurance that was sent to me last week. I'm not sure if you have it, but we have a potential beach maintenance worker ready to go based on your approval.
Do we have that?
It's in the signature.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, she was referred to me by Jackie, and that'd be a big help for us. Punt, Pass, and Kick, September 17th this year. Yard sale, October 1st. We're going to be involved with the PTCO, with the Family Fun Night. That's going to be Friday, May 13th. I'm not sure you've been down the beach, but you know, the people that put the wall or the ramp in, based on what happened this winter, we've got an issue with the way the ramp comes in, and then there's a cementing, there's a big edge there. And we got to look at that and get that repaired. So I need your help on what company
I
did
think
that.
Brooks did that.
Brooks did it, yes.
What kind of problem is it causing?
Well, it's an edge. You can see the ramp comes down, and then
Yeah.
there's a lip like this,
Oh,
you know, of
Gotcha.
cement. So I mean, that's certainly dangerous.
So the ramp material is settled that much? or-
Either that or the other thing rose, but based on what happened this winter with the bomb houses, it's,
So I
Definitely a
think-
trip hazard, right, for sure?
yeah.
Okay.
I think, I'm trying to think of the engineering company out of Connolly.
So when I
HEB,
call them,
Bergeron.
HEB,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, Bergeron designed that, so we'll get in touch with them, and have them come down and take a look and see what.
I will or you will?
We will.
Okay. Excellent. We do have quite a bit of cleanup down there. The sailing program is not gonna happen because, again, being a rookie on the water here, we do have the mooring. We sent the money in for the mooring for the boat museum. But, I mean, outside of having a boat with a motor to have a chase boat for sailing, we don't have.
I thought it was all their deal, that we were just providing the mooring.
Yeah, they're not gonna do any boats or anything. They were just gonna give us the sailfish or the sunfish, but everything else is on us.
See, I thought this was for a keel boat that they wanted to do.
Well, that's their program. That's what their mooring is for.
That's what the mooring at 19 Mile Bay is
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
Okay, but
And we have two of them, but there's only one in place, and that's theirs for their keel
so
program.
that's on, but the day sailors are the.
Well, it's just, I don't see us getting a boat with a motor and hiring another guy to be a chase boat and that type of thing, so.
it's not feasible.
Well, it's not our sailing program. I thought that.
No,
if they don't-
it was gonna be. Yeah, we would've had to hire an instructor.
No, I know that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
My understanding was that they wanted to put a sailing program in,
You do?
and they're putting a keel boat. in.
That's their adult program, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But as far as the smaller boats are concerned,
no.
that was gonna have to be theirs as well. I don't think we ever talked about us starting a sailing program, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Who was gonna run it?
Well, but we were looking for somebody to do that.
I had a potential guy to do it, but it's all the other stuff, I mean.
Yeah,
Right. There's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah.
yeah.
They get stranded out there, somebody's gotta go rescue them in a powered boat. We don't have that capability.
Yeah, and it's all the other.
It gets
Get
complicated.
hit by the mast,
Yeah,
fall off, and drown.
yeah, many things going on. All right, so the small boat program is out.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for reminding me, Guy.
It's all right.
It's a little frustrating, you know, I'm trying to raise money for the concerts and this and that, blah, 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 and we got that bike trail sitting down, and I know there's a whole issue going on with the dirt bikes, but at our last commission meeting, I'm not sure Bob shared with you, it's that whole Wolf Bowl thing again. Why can't we get an itemized account of what we're actually spending rather than that 17,000 sitting up here? And it was my idea to say, go to the builder of the bike trail and say, can we pay you, we do have some money in from the grant we got, but can we pay you, 15 grand, 15 grand, 15 grand over the next 3 years, and you start construction on that bike trail? And again, I mean, that's, from day one, I didn't like the Wolf Bowl thing, and you guys voted it down last year, and I'm still against it, and our commission is still against it. So I'm bringing it up again as a way to get this bike trail built.
So what we got was a design for the bike trail, is that what that person?
There was a whole, package of,
Okay, it wasn't,
expenses and everything.
right, but it wasn't, he wasn't putting together a program to gather money and build it, he just designed
No,
it.
it's on us, it's roughly 53,000.
53,000 to design it?
No, to
Build
build
it.
it. To build.
Maybe.
And like I said, we applied for 3 or 4 grants, we got one of them, but it was for small, it was through the electric co-op.
Right.
And we got 3 grand for that, and there's probably a little money from the concert, passing the hat, the reserve fund, revolving fund, but it's just, it's kind of frustrating that, we can't get this thing going, and one of the ways I thought is to say, look, let's take care of Tuftonboro. I mean, if that kid in Tuftonboro is gonna go to the Wolf Bowl camp, he's still gonna go regardless. He's still gonna ski, he's still gonna skate. Whether he pays $12 or $20, he's still gonna go. Let's take care of our people. So, that's all I can tell you. I can tell you what our commission said, what they feel. And like I told you last year, before the Wolf Bowl Parks and Rec Director came in front of you people, before that, she told me and our chairman, Brandon, Dennis, you're not getting your money's worth. When she got in front of you up at the townhouse, she changed her tune. Okay, so all I'm saying is that if it's $50 for a resident and $80 for a non-resident, okay, well, let's pay that $30 difference.
Right.
But is that 2010 census that says X amount of dollars per person in Tuftonboro, and it comes up to be almost 17 grand. Well, with computerized and everything else, they must be able to say, oh, here we go, we've got 20 Tuftonboro people taking part. Oh, and like I say, last year, where they didn't have any programs, we still got the bill for 17 grand. So I made a big stink with their selectmen and with their Parks and Rec director and said, we didn't run any programs. And you still charge them 17 grand? Well, the selectmen did the right thing and they moved it down to 5 grand. So we paid them 5 grand. But this past year, we paid them 17. So I'm just trying to take care of Tuftonboro. I don't know the politics between the towns, and that's why you guys voted against it. I don't know. But all I'm trying to do is protect.
It wasn't the politics between the towns. So listen, the reason we voted for it the last time, and we can bring it up and talk about it again and vote again, is that we want to make sure that the children in Tuftonboro have the services of those parks. If it costs us $16,000 to make that happen, it costs us $16,000 to make it happen.
That's your feeling. I disagree.
Well, then describe and man a program wherein someone who can't afford the $80 wants to come in and have us pay the difference. I told you to take some money up to the school to provide rental skis and rental skates. How much money?
And we can't do that. We did that last year. We gave them $1,000 and they spent it.
Okay,
But we can't do that from the lawyers.
right.
We can take care of our own program, our own kids, if a kid can't afford, say,
Right,
whatever.
but we need to have, needs to be a marriage between the school, let's say, and that ski and skate program and the town.
Mhm.
So if a parent comes in and says, I need a subsidy to get my kid skiing, that they can contact us and then we can get it through Parks and Rec. The same thing is true of the programming down there. I mean, I would love to think we could get an accounting, but I've spent the last 6 years trying to get an accounting, and we've gotten nothing, basically. So, and then, you have the next step, which is the use of the beaches. You know, one would think if we're paying them $16,000, our people could go to the Albany Beach down in Wentworth. Not so.
Right.
You know, so if we stop paying them anything at all, now what have our folks lost out of that deal? You know, if they're gonna close their beaches, if they're gonna limit their programming, what have our folks lost?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sticking up for my program and
Yeah,
our town, and that's just how I feel, you know, and that's how our commission feels.
and I don't know, and Bob's gonna probably bring it forward at some point in time, because he's our rep to your board.
Mm.
And we'll have a full-fledged discussion about it and make a decision.
I think we need to. I've spending this money in Wolfboro and having the services, kind of not being able to substantiate the services that we get is a problem. Do we need to have a discussion with the Wolfboro Selectmen? Do we need to bring this to the forefront again and put everything on the table and see where we're at and where we're going? I mean,
Well,
historically, we've had a symbiotic relationship with Wolfboro.
Well, what you brought forward is a little different. We did have a discussion with the Parks and Rec director, who simply said she couldn't account for it. Now, if we have a discussion with their selectmen, they may or may not bring pressure to bear that, let's get an accounting system so we know what's going on. They may not, I don't know. It's not a bad idea to talk to them, I don't think. I don't know what more we can do, because their Parks and Rec director at least pleads the case that she's incapable of doing that. I don't know why in this day and age they're incapable of doing that. But,
And are there any programs that we offer here in Tufton?
right, that would offset
Yeah.
I mean, I
what we're
don't,
using.
Well, yeah, because all the people that can't go to the Wolfboro beaches come to Tuftonboro.
I don't know about all of them, but there are some.
The people who live in Wolfboro can go to.
They can go to their
Right.
beaches, but I'm talking summertime.
but our
People can't go
increased
to the beaches,
program
they come
in
here.
this town has brought Wolfboro people here. I mean, are they gonna come to the Easter egg hunt Sunday? They might,
I don't know.
you know.
You
They've
know,
been in
I-
our paint class, they've been in a lot of our things, cornhole, everything else. They've
Well,
been-
and so those are the things that should come before or in the discussion
Sure.
with Wolfboro.
Mhm.
You know, if we're, you know, providing services that they don't provide, their people are enjoying our services, you know, they're not cutting us a check. We're cutting them a check, so we
Yeah.
need to come to
No,
some
I
kind of
understand, no,
I
I,
think everybody's just coasting. Everybody's just coasting and doing, things are just kind of happening. There doesn't seem to be any communication between us and the Wolfboro Selectmen as far as stuff like this is concerned.
exactly right. I mean, if I didn't bring up that COVID year, we would have paid them 17 grand for zero.
Right.
Okay, so you made your salary, thank you very much.
Well, there you go, I need a raise.
As far as your, and I think that this discussion has to continue, will continue
Yeah,
today, but
definitely.
it needs to. As far as your concert promotion, let's look at our suppliers. Let's look at Primex.
You got sponsorships?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
The
get a
first group of letters I sent out were the ones that gave last year.
Right.
So those are the easy ones.
Right.
1,000 from this guy, 500 from, so I got another batch going out, and we just went through a list. There were some businesses aren't there, some people died, so we got that list going out. But definitely, anybody you think,
You know, a lot of little businesses, I mean.
some of those suppliers I
You
don't
might
have.
spend $2,000 and you're looking for a
Yeah.
$2,000 donation, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But if we're spending $50,000.
See, I need those names.
Yeah,
Yeah, how would I get those?
from Kathy, but I'll smooth that
Yeah.
path for you.
Okay,
I'll bring them to you.
awesome, okay. appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Send them.
just to play a little devil's advocate, maybe even our legal firm would contribute a little. You never know. Doesn't
You
hurt.
never know, I mean, that's changed hands too,
Right.
The
so
second one.
we just started.
Philosophy.
No. No, that's our previous one. We have a new.
Yeah, it's
For-
brand new, we
Yeah.
haven't cut them a check yet.
No.
It's kind of hard.
But
to
you're
ask
right, I
for
mean, we had
donation.
a guy do the fence down at the beach, $1,000, so I sent him one, so he sent $100 in.
Yeah.
Good business, right? But if
Yeah.
we're spending, like you say, 40, 50 grand on people, why wouldn't they come up with it?
Right, and that's why you get the co-op money. I mean,
Yeah,
they have a certain percentage of their money that's gonna have to
Yeah.
come back in as community stuff. The other thing is your food franchise, you need to market that. You need to either rent it or do it yourself and charge.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money we made back in the old days at those car shows at the county farm,
Yeah,
but,
I don't either, but there was always a ton of people there.
And-
They were hungry,
yeah.
thirsty.
And
Yep.
we'd make maybe $5,000
Yeah.
a day.
In a day.
Yeah, not a bad deal. You know,
Like a food truck.
2 years
It's
ago,
like
I
a
think we
food
did
truck.
$800. One
Couple
day.
gonna hire a food truck, they're gonna make some money, so they need to pay to make that money. That's how it works in
Yeah.
this world.
You just rent them a spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we do have food trucks coming to the Paws in the Park, so,
Well, there you go. Have a chat with them.
yeah.
Tell them you got an 8-concert series coming up. People
Yeah.
are gonna eat and drink and have a good time. What's it worth? Get 2 food trucks down there, huh?
Yeah. So is that how you spell your name when I write the plaque for the honorary,
All right, nothing. But yes, that's,
anything else, guys?
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Keep up the good work, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, that lady with the road race note, huh? That race you said they didn't have, and I. you put
Yeah,
something on
it never came about.
Yeah, it's too bad, 'cause
Yeah.
I'd love to get a road race here.
Mhm.
Anyway, do I have all my years back, those kids?
You do.
You're not hiding it, now. You don't want to take that out. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I'm
Okay.
sorry it took so long.
Enough of
I'll
that.
do with that.
Take care.
Next is
Jack. Jack.
Jack. Buildings and grounds.
Yeah.
What are they doing up at the townhouse?
At the townhouse?
Yeah,
Up there.
yeah.
Up there?
Yeah, it looks like they're cleaning up the parking lot.
Oh, probably Corey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He said
he
dump
probably from
trucks.
here, probably no place to park. So we have 25 building permits, 9 new homes. They've done 115 inspections. The mini splits in this building and the one at the police station is going to be done in
Neat.
June.
Good.
Going to be cleaned and maintained.
Who's doing them?
Home and Energy Products, same one that put them in Bedford, Belmont rather. The walkway out front is on the schedule to be repaired in the middle, brought up so it doesn't fill up with water. And right now they're repairing the flagpole at the library with the power on
Oh, to get
the
the
photo cell. Yep.
Finally. Very
He
good.
was trying one way to do it, he dug a hole there and it was like a pond, so he's trying to reconfigure another way to do it, so he's not working the water. Now, it's just sent this. Side of Lake Hill Road needs to be filled in, so.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Yeah,
places.
so,
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to see our road agent today, but we aren't going to, I guess. And all your permits are signed? I didn't see a folder.
yeah, I was here last week. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Cool.
You saw the one that you missed? The check.
No?
Oh,
I
I
missed
put
the
it on,
check.
put it on the front of the book when I signed on Friday morning. I thought maybe Kathy would
Did I
write it.
miss
Yeah,
one?
if it's got 2, she'll just throw it through.
Won't matter, but you did. Okay, hey, can you be any more succinct?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I don't know who Bill Jolly is, and he's not here.
Apparently not.
Who is Bill Jolly?
Maybe
He's
it's a
The insurance
pseudonym for Chief.
Is that actual
No.
insurance?
It's got something to do with benefits, I thought it said. right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
well, maybe you're here in disguise,
I don't know.
but you're here.
I'm here.
Mhm.
Nope,
Okay,
Okay.
no
good.
show.
I'm gonna, did you have something for us, Chief?
Yeah, non-public for personnel.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the
Brief
signature.
update.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the signature file. First thing for, and we just have to initial this.
Okay.
The tax collector gave adjustments to 3 properties, all for $19, all due to their, I think, postage issues or posting issues,
Online issues.
online issues. Oh, right, the bank, they paid for their mortgage and then the bank
It was like a
overcharges
cross
it. Yep, right.
thing.
Make a motion to initial.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The next item is, I can read the letter in if you need me to. I don't know if any of you guys have read it. But we're on the cusp of this deal being done. This is the deal on the Lion property.
I read it.
I think, did you, Bob?
I did not.
Okay. 2 deeds are going back to Victoria Line in exchange for past due taxes, interest, and penalties totaling around $50,000 and attorney's fees expended by the town in the underlying litigation in the amount of $8,700 or so. She will then be conveying one of the parcels and most of the other to the Lovitts, and then the Lovitts will convey one of the parcels they received back to the town Conservation Commission, along with conservation restrictions. So we have 2 deeds to sign. The first is from the town of Tuftonboro to Victoria Lyon.
Motion to sign.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next is a limited power of attorney. And this allows our attorney to do this
Transaction.
transaction. Right.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second?
Stop signing in my area.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next is a selectmen's deed from the town of Tuftonboro to Victoria Land for another lot consisting of 25 acres.
Motion to sign.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we have a quitclaim deed between James and Allison Lovett and the town of Tuftonboro on behalf of the Conservation Commission. This is for the land that's coming back out of this other transaction to become part of our conservation property.
Motion to sign.
Second?
I don't think you signed that one.
Or if it doesn't need to be signed,
No, we see it
Okay.
here.
yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a application for employment, a request for change in employment.
Compensation?
But new hire, it's checked
Oh,
out
it's
at
a
the
new
top.
one.
Oh, it's a new hire, okay.
That's the one Dennis was talking about.
Right. Did you happen to see this?
No.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But
I don't know if either one of you know that person. I mean, I know a person with that name, I don't know if it's that person, but.
Well, as long as Dennis
Dennis
has
is
recommended him.
He's recommending him.
you and I both know John Glidden. I don't know if it's him or
Is there
not.
only one?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if Dennis has recommended, we should approve
Unless
it.
you have some reason not. to.
Okay, make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna sign it while I get it in my hand.
Okay. Put together.
Yeah, well, it could be John Glidden from Browning Road, I don't know.
I can't imagine it, but maybe it
Yeah,
is.
he's pretty old.
Jim did leave his stuff, I don't know if you guys want it.
Might as well.
Alright.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion on this as well. We got a chance to,
Yep, I put that in your green folders.
we've had a chance to mull over the existing parking lot problems at the town garage.
Right.
So removing existing catch basin, rebuilding a new catch basin, remove existing 15-inch galvanized culvert, install new ABS 15-inch culvert, backfill culvert, remove pavement from the side road edge of the garage, excavate rocks, logs, and other organic material, install 1.5-inch crust gravel, compact and grade, pave area in front of the garage and side road with coarse pavement. Estimated cost of the project is $28,000. Yeah,
Steal.
cheap. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second for purposes of discussion.
Okay.
To my knowledge, it's already done.
It's done.
I've driven by this several times. It's been done.
Okay.
So we can approve it or not, but it's a little late.
We did we vote on this before? I don't remember that we had.
We talked about it before,
Right.
because we talked about the area in front of the gas pump that actually should be concrete and level.
Right.
Yes.
So if there's a spill, it doesn't run off, and that was supposed to be incorporated in the whole
And
project.
like I said, there's a new catch basin there with,
Right, pretty
Definitely.
close to where if
Okay,
there was a spill,
regardless
we
if
go
it-
in there. And
Regardless if it's done or not, we have to decide to spend the money.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we
The
approve.
motion's made.
Oh, yes.
Where's the money coming from?
We can take it out of the highway budget. Highway maintenance budget, I think. We also have the $126,000, but we can't spend that money more than once.
Mhm.
Solid waste. Where are you? There we go.
Wow.
We've got $15,000 left in highway equipment maintenance. And I'm gonna suggest that we utilize some of our federal grant money to do this repair. I've also already talked to you guys, we haven't voted on it, but I've talked about using some of that money that we're coming up a little short on the steel for 19 Mile Pier. I think it was $30,000. So there's $126,000 sitting there, and there's another $126 coming in this year. So it's for infrastructure projects like this.
Does it include repair of existing infrastructure?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah, it's pretty broad-based.
Yep.
And anything under $1 million, just the reporting requirements are,
Minimal.
if at all.
Yeah. That's a good suggestion. Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, we do. The motion's still on the floor. We
Okay.
haven't voted on that yet,
Okay.
I don't think, because Bob interrupted the vote
Yeah,
for discussion.
exactly. I wanted to find out where the money was coming from.
Right.
All right, so should I amend that to say where the money's coming from?
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, you can. It does, I mean, we know where it's gonna happen.
Right.
If you want to put it on the record, that's fine.
All right, I'll amend the motion to approve the $28,000 expenditure to be funded from our federal grant of $126,000.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, now it's done and paid for.
We're gonna incorporate the rest of the work that was supposed to be done when this was done, that's asking,
Oh, what?
for the area in front of the gas pump.
That wasn't before us, so I don't,
All right, well, it was supposed to be part of the project, we talked about it, I don't know how many years ago, it was a few years ago, because they had originally stuck bark mulch there, and I said, you
Right.
can't put bark mulch in front of gas pumps, it's just.
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
I don't have a cost in front of me, so I guess I'll have Cammy direct an email to our hiding road agent to tell him that needs to get repaired.
Right.
Or put right. Okay. Was there anything else, Jack, on that?
No, that was it. I just noticed they were doing work there, I went by, one of them saw them the other day, so.
it'd be interesting getting a level
I know,
concrete pad there.
that's what, you know. they talked about when you do all the inspections, so.
Yeah, no, it should be there.
There are no action items. Correspondence. Okay. The Board of Tax and Land Appeals has sent all tax collectors a notification about their final tax bills and how they need to be presented. Our tax collectors well aware of that. There's an email to Jack Parsons, Code Enforcement Health Officer, regarding COVID-19 exposure. Motorhomes will need to be disassembled before anyone will take them, which will take some extra time. So this is concerning the removal of the motorhome. We got a letter from the 68 Hours of Hunger thanking us for our donation. They're one of the people on our charitable list. Another for caregivers of Southern Carroll County, once again thanking us for a $1,500 donation. We did get a, is the library not coming in? Is that why we're getting a statement?
They always have.
They always have. Once a month. Yeah, since you've been here. Little guy in glasses, Dennis.
Has not come in since I've been.
All right, let's send him an email.
Okay.
At least quarterly, we should get an opportunity to discuss the financial wherewithal of the library. This is, if you want to look at it, it's there. Selectmen's update.
I reached out, I'd mentioned an electrical contractor that I knew was a considerable industrial experience, and they're not interested in looking at our project for the police station.
Okay.
Other than that, I visited MX 171 on Sunday.
As did I.
Very interesting. It would be to your benefit to go there sometime. Check it all out. I actually was listening to noise at various points, including our two complainants' dooryards. And I think some of their claims may be a bit exaggerated, but I am hoping that there will be a negotiation that at least can be tolerated by everybody before anything comes to a major hit. That's all I got.
Bob?
I visited MX 171 as well, and we were not there at the same time.
Good.
And I had I had a similar experience that, yeah, there are motorcycles running up and down the track. There's no question that there's noise, but I certainly don't think it was to the level to which it was described. I have a decibel meter on my phone, which is not a professional decibel meter by any stretch, but with 4 bikes running back and forth, literally right in front of me, I saw 86 decibels, which is not loud. Loud, but not loud, you know what I mean? So I'd like to see them come to some sort of a resolution amongst themselves. I think it can be done.
Sure.
And I had a planning board meeting Thursday night. Matt Young's piece of property on Phineas Graves Road was approved for subdivision. Just breaking off one piece of property. And they're going to be doing some work. Sue is going to be doing some work on updating the fees, planning board fees, which are inconsistent in the various places where they're advertised here, the town website, their price sheet. They're just going to be put together so they align. That's about it.
Okay. Well, I took the time, we asked Cammy to take the time to contact our attorney with regard to the motorcycle question that came up last week. I'm not inclined to do much, but I'm also not inclined to put the town at risk. So I needed to be assured that we weren't assuming any sort of risk based upon our non-action. And she's, our attorney has sent back a position that no, we wouldn't be at risk. She also sent back a list of the RSAs with regard to off-road vehicles, and part of them deal with noise. So I think what I'll do is have Cammy forward those probably by mail, because I don't know if we have Jim's email, but mail them off to Jim Bidham, so at least he's aware of what the issues are. They're not town issues, those RSAs are directed towards the Fish and Game Department. So
Just out of curiosity, do they list a decibel limit at all?
They do.
Okay, because our zoning ordinance is kind of vague because it doesn't really say.
Because we don't have a noise ordinance.
No, well, we have a zoning ordinance about nuisances, which includes noise,
Right.
but no guidance as to how loud noise has to be or anything. It's kind of weird. It's too vague, in my opinion, to be really.
Intentionally vague.
Right.
So I printed off some of those laws, and those ones you talked that are in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Oh, good.
printed off those laws.
Yes.
Good.
If it's a licensed event by Fish and Game,
Mhm.
there's no muffler requirement.
Right. But he's
If
not-
it's not licensed by Fish and Game as an event,
Mhm.
which I don't believe it is because they would have notified me,
Right.
and I've had no notification of it, so I'm assuming there's no event license for it. They have to be stock mufflers. They have to have spark arresters.
Mhm.
My understanding is some of those that have, at least in the past, been there may not have been under that guidance, but that he needs to be aware of going forward.
Right.
And you also, they have to be registered. From pictures I've seen, some of them are not registered. Having an event permit eliminates the need for registration of the OHRVs, eliminates the muffler requirement, and eliminates reporting of accidents. I've heard people have been hurt, and I haven't heard of any accidents being reported.
Mhm.
That's a requirement that gets waived with an event license.
But those are two different paths. And I think one path that you could take is just to make this available to whoever's using the place.
Absolutely.
So
And then,
they know what the rules are. If they don't want to play by those rules, that's a decision they're personally making.
absolutely.
It's not,
Well, sending him those regulations is a good thing to do.
yeah. I mean,
And
at least
and that's the other, so the event, the age licensing requirements go out the window with an event permit too. Some of those
Right.
kids riding may
But I
not be
think-
within compliance with the age
I don't know, I
requirements.
think the event thing, the way I read it, I've just read it quickly. It's a weekend occurrence or a 1 week occurrence at the longest. And what he's established up there is like a weekend, people come by. I don't know if he'd be willing to spend $35 every weekend and calling it an
It
event.
says dates on the application,
Yeah.
so it could be more than one date.
So you
I don't
have to,
know.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, I'm just saying, as far as the noise issue goes,
Right.
but the way I understand it with Fish and Game, the way it's enforced is they don't go out decibel meters either. They look for the factory stickers to make sure that make sure there's a spark arrestor on them.
Right.
Because that's the other part of it, is once, after a certain date when they're manufactured, the manufacturer puts a certification on those exhausts.
Right.
So if that's not there, that's how they enforce it, they don't go out with decibel meters.
But, I mean, just to bring it back to home base here, my only concern was that if someone were to get hurt there,
Right,
and for whatever reason, we didn't do anything that we should have done, then all of a sudden, there's liability on the
well,
town.
that's on them, and that's,
That's
you know, the
fine.
liability for failure to report is on whoever is involved.
And that's, I was just protecting the interest of the.
Doesn't
Town's
seem
fine.
like we have a lot to say about it.
No, I mean, all we can do is give a little guidance, and if the
Yeah.
guidance isn't taken, that's fine too. I mean, it's just, I can tell you not to drink the bad water, but
Right,
if you
you
decide
can't
to
stop
drink it
it.
anyway, you can drink it.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
good.
And Oh, there was one other thing I did, but I forgot what it was. Any other public input?
I only have one. There was great interest in last week's meeting and quite a few hits on YouTube. My only question to you is that any of you selectmen get a lot of emails from concerned citizens in reference to that conversation?
I didn't get any.
I didn't get anything.
No? Okay.
Did any come through the town office?
I was swamped,
Okay. I was just curious.
but I expected that.
All right. Appreciate it.
And we did get some calls, concerns, not from that, but some posts on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna get into a
Okay,
discussion
thank you.
about it. Yeah, thank you.
91A, non-public.
Yep, we're gonna go into non-public 91A-3, comma Roman numeral 2 for personnel and legal. But the legal, we don't need it, 91A. Okay, making that motion.
Second,
Okay. I'll be yes.
Murray, yes.
Pike, yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay.